Okay, you have a lot going on in this game. The art's great, like especially the lighting, and I like the really intentional play between the colors that you're talking about. Just make sure you have colorblind players play it because it will read differently to them. I like the environmental storytelling as you're moving through the world. Like there's no dialogue, there's not a lot of text, and you're doing a lot of it with like the props and the rooms are changing, and that was really well done. Gameplay felt good and pretty smooth. There's something off about the camera that made me a little nauseous, and I'm not a gameplay designer, so it's hard for me to describe what that is, but there's just something to like think about. I actually missed picking up the sword when I ran into that room. It wasn't really obvious. Like, I ran in and I was like, the elevator was more a focal point for me when I entered that room because it was really obvious compared to the sword on the table, but there was like a collision blocker. So I couldn't tell if it was bugged, and then finally I got around the side of the table and I saw the prompt to pick it up, and I was like, oh, pick up the sword, okay, that makes sense. So like something to just make it more intentional, like sometimes like the weapons are just gamey, like they're floating in the air and spinning, or there's like a light shining on it, or just like the interact radius is a little larger, so it's harder to miss. And then it was fine from there. I like the versatility of the combatants, and like you had to strategically think about what you were doing when you had like ranged and melee guys. I really like the audio feedback with the health, like where your heart would beat faster as your health was getting lower. It created a really good intensity. Like I didn't know if I was going to die, or if it's even possible to die, but I still acted like I might die. I need to like back up and change my tactic with these combatants, so it worked really, really well. And just like overall, like really solid proof of concept of the game. Love the final boss. I expected him to do something different when I knocked one of the hands off. So like maybe he goes berserk and he starts spinning in circles or something else to just add like a layer of like progression and escalation. It was great overall.
So 99% aligned with Crystal. So including the positives, the lighting, and all that. I had one suggestion. Player damage, so I could not tell when I was taking damage. I couldn't tell how close or how long I could stand in front of the melee combatants without knowing if I was taking damage or not. And I also tried to just hold the sword up to bounce bullets back at the enemies, and I couldn't tell if some of them were getting through or not. So that was the main thing. I finished it, enjoyed the boss battle, loved the environmental storytelling and all the things Crystal said. I just wish I knew what was happening to me along the way. It didn't prevent anything from happening, so just maybe it's a polish thing or a player feedback thing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this game. One of the things I want to ask, just for clarification, so for feedback in terms of taking damage, was that meant to be the color on the sword? Okay, so the color, the hue does change as you get lower.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So something like that, right? That's something that you have to like message, right? And you want to bring that, you want to expose that because that's vital to, you know, what the player, it's kind of an expectation, right? Although you did have like a second way of communicating with like the heartbeat, right? For something visual like that, you want to make sure you bring that specifics. One of the things I really enjoyed about this specifically was your introduction of like, you know, a gap closer, you know, to kind of counteract those ranged enemies. But also something I would have liked to see was, you know, maybe some jumping, give me some obstacles, because it kind of felt like all I was doing was really, you know, just walking through. If you gave me, you know, obstacles to jump over, you know, just something like that, just to break up those transitions and, you know, get into some comfort with the enemies, that'll make it feel really well. But outstanding project.